What's up, everyone? This week, I wanted to share 3 of our most soothing and comforting recipes from the past year. Perfect for rainy days or whenever we feel like getting a little more cozy. We have all of the full recipes on our blog, linked in the description. To start, here's one of our favorites, chicken congee. In Cantonese, this classic porridge is known as juk, but congee has as many names as it does variations, since it's a staple of most Asian countries. Interestingly, in Chinese tradition, it's considered a bad omen to eat juk on Chinese New Year. When I asked my parents about it, my mom explained that in the old days, many people didn't have enough rice to eat. Using relatively small amounts of rice, they made big pots of congee to make their rice last longer. She said that the rich ate cooked rice and the poor ate juk, and that congee is not a high-class food. But my dad quickly chimed in, this is not true. If cooked with high-class ingredients, porridge is a high-class meal. Looking back at historical accounts, there's truth to both sides. Rice porridge saved the lives of the hungry masses, but also soothed the hearts and bellies of emperors past and the little princes and princesses of present. Chinese parents often feed baby congee to their infants, since it's so easy to eat and digest. My parents started feeding us juk when we turned 1, and they'd always cook up a huge batch anytime we got sick. Like many of you, juk will always bring me back to my childhood.
朋友們，大家好啊！今日我哋又介紹一個我哋家庭式嘅滑雞粥。滑雞粥都係我哋廣東人平時都好中意食嘅。嗱，首先呢，我用4至6嘅人嘅份量啦，係俾1級個米。咁我呢，先將啲米洗下先洗佢2次啊！我哋廣東人呢，食粥嗰個粥底呢，就好緊要嘅，好講究嘅，所以我哋煲呢個粥底呢，要慢慢嚟做。好啦，米就洗好啦，擺喺度先。
Next, we'll start boiling 8 cups of water to save time for later, while we prepare all of our vegetables. Peel and chop about ½ an ounce of ginger into thin slices and then into thin strips. Then, we'll chop a few strands of cilantro and green onions into small pieces. If you don't like cilantro, feel free to skip it.
係咁多啦，然之後呢，切雞。通常雞肉呢，我就準備俾12個安士咁上下雞肉呢。隨你如果中意食多啲，咪俾多啲咯。醃切好薄，佢醃過細佢之後呢，佢就擺落嗰啲粥度，佢就話好滑啦。切嘢嘅時候呢，俾塊布墊住底佢，佢斬板呢，就唔會四圍走啦。輕咁切薄佢。雞肉就切好啦。
Next, we'll marinate our chicken. Add 1 tablespoon of oyster sauce. Then, push the chicken to one side of the bowl to clear out space, and add 2 teaspoons of cornstarch, 1 teaspoon of chicken bouillon, and 2 tablespoons of water. Mix and massage the marinade for about 30 seconds until there's no liquid left. Then, add 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil to the bowl, and mix it around with chopsticks for another 20 to 30 seconds.
咁呢個好處呢，就等啲雞肉容易散咗佢。用另外一個呢，啲油呢可以封一封入邊嘅雞肉嗰啲汁，唔好俾佢流晒出嚟。好啦，嘢就切好啦，我哋開始煲粥啦煲粥呢就要嘥啲時間嘅煲粥。好，我哋要4至6個人嘅份量呢，我就俾8級水呢。8級水落去想減少呢個煲粥嘅時間，縮短佢嘅時間，我可以選擇用滾水，煲好啲滾水先擺落去。有8級嘅水就應該就夠食㗎啦。
After you're done pouring the water, set the stove to high heat. We'll wait until it boils and then bring it to medium heat, and then wait for another 25 minutes.
冚上個蓋佢。煲粥呢，就一個竅門呢，就係等嗰啲水滾咗之後，我哋先至俾呢個洗好個米落去，因為我呢已經係滾水㗎啦，咁樣我哋可以將啲米俾落去。咁你煲滾咗之後呢，你就唔好再去搞佢㗎啦，再搞佢呢，佢就容易黐底㗎啦，淨等佢滾。我哋將個煲蓋冚住佢，冚上去，等佢滾。煲粥係好使時間㗎，要慢慢做，唔急得嘅。特別我哋廣東人最緊要煲嘅粥底好靚，好注重呢個粥底嚟嘅。慢慢等下，好啦，唔好滾啦。 好啦，大家睇到啦，而家滾咗㗎啦嗬。我哋而家整一整佢，就唔好再搞佢，睇下嚇。搞起咗，就等佢慢慢煲啦。煲粥咧，你唔好一味搞佢。如果你搞佢咧，佢就變咗黐，好容易黐住個底煲底嗰度。記住呢樣嘢，唔好成日搞佢。咁樣咧，冚住佢蓋，離開啲辣。如果咪預防佢咁，等佢滾晒出嚟咯。唔好俾佢滾晒出嚟。呢個時候咧，又開始交慢啲，校到中火中間咁上下。開頭咧就校到最 high 嗰度，而家咧滾咗之後咧，就去到中，慢慢煲到佢大概我諗係要25分鐘咁上下啦。呢煲粥就應該煲好咗噶啦。特別我哋廣東人煲靚粥唔急得噶，慢慢等。
He's sad. He just took a nap, and he woke up and was like this.
porridge.
我哋已經煲咗25分鐘咁上下啦，我哋而家留俾大家睇下嚇。嗱，呢啲買咧已經基本上係煲開發好靚噶啦已經。
Next, we'll use a whisk to break up our rice so that it becomes even more heavenly soft. Stir it constantly with the whisk for 2 to 3 minutes.
再搞佢，等佢啲綿啲等佢啲發開晒佢啲飯粒嗰啲如果你唔發佢都得，不過你要俾更多嘅時間，俾多10零分鐘咁就得啦。因為而家我哋就咁樣快啲，可以食得到嗱，基本上就已經好靚嘅粥底啦記住滾水之後咧，唔好俾嘢去搞住佢。嗱，我而家煲粥煲好啦，個底都冇黐到。嗱，睇到嗱，好靚，呢個度咧就啱噶啦。再稀啲咧就唔好咁好噶啦，因為我仲有啲料落去好，我哋而家咧開大火，而家俾啲雞肉落去我啲雞肉已經醃好咗啦。頭先俾啲雞肉嘅咧，我哋攪散佢，唔好一直咁俾倒晒落去，攪散佢慢慢咁落。
Here, my dad gradually added his chicken over the course of 30 seconds.
如果你倒晒落去，咪黐埋一嚿容易咯，係咪？唔好理佢，等佢慢慢佢會熟噶啦。呢個筷子咧輕咁樣將啲肉翻開佢
Gently stir the chicken around for about 1 minute.
等擺落嗰啲粥再滾嘅時候咧，基本啲雞肉就熟噶啦。睇到嘛？睇到啲雞肉嘛？咁熟噶啦。而家呢個時候咧開始夠味啦
We'll add 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of chicken bouillon, and the ginger we minced from earlier. Stir everything around for 20 to 30 seconds.
好啦，而家閂火啦，跟住咧我哋裝起佢啦啲雞肉幾靚係嘛？啲雞肉好靚睇到粥嘛？倒埋佢落去，咁咪啱啱一鍋啦，一煲啦，係咪？如果你嫌佢結啲嘅話咧，如果你嫌佢結咧，你可以加少少滾水落去，再攪翻開佢如果你想唔嫌佢結咧，咁都 OK 噶啦。再加上啲葱、芫茜，好啦，搞掂，大功告成，呢個滑雞粥搞掂，食得。
Next, we'll be making
白菜豬肉湯。
bok choy soup, a really quick and easy recipe my dad used to make for us all the time.
Hello 朋友們，大家好啊！今日同大家介紹呢個咧豬肉白菜湯啦，係非常簡單嘅，你啲後生仔最中意飲個。
Just like the words cafe and chocolate, bok choy is a loan word from the Cantonese bok choy, which literally means white vegetable. Bok choy is one of the many different types of Chinese cabbages cultivated for over 2,000 years for its resistance to cold weather. This is a super simple recipe that my parents make multiple times a week. After you've cooked it, we can keep the bok choy in the soup and eat it as is, or often what we'll do is scoop the bok choy out, drink the soup, and eat the bok choy separately.
我呢個湯咧係用1磅咁上下嘅白菜咧，豬肉咧卜菜肉切片5個安士咁上下嘅肉咧，你中意食多啲咪俾多啲咯，唔緊要喎。好啦，我而家咧就首先切咗豬肉先，我哋切咗啲肥嘅出嚟先。我哋都要橫紋嚟切，嗱呢度咁樣切咧，反轉嘅咧，佢啲紋咧就橫紋啦。嗱睇到嘛？嗱呢啲紋係咪一條咁樣嗱？啲紋係打橫咁切咁切咧， 嗰啲肉咧煮熟咧就唔會嘅好韌啦。呢啲生粉醃咗佢之後咧，啲肉就會好滑㗎啦嗱。好靚啲肉啦，一條條。而家睇啲紋係一條條㗎嘛，係順㗎嘛，但我哋打橫咁切咗佢，橫紋嚟切。
Next, we'll be marinating our pork with 1 teaspoon of cornstarch, 1 teaspoon of oyster sauce, and 1 tablespoon of water. Stir the mixture until it's fairly even and add the pork. Using a bit of force, massage the pork for about 30 seconds to help the pork absorb the marinade. Before we dive back into the recipe, I wanted to touch on something really important, which is how to best store your bok choy. In our mealtime, my parents share their secrets from their decades of cooking with bok choy.
Is there a way to extend the life of it?
入邊有啲呢啲紙包住佢，呢個就擺1個星期得啦。
紙有咩作用？
熟啲水吸水。
So you want it to be dry as possible.
紙有啲水。
dry and little hole.
有少少窿啊。
有窿，即係唔好俾嗰啲菜葉濕咗。
OK，咁你翻屋企嗰陣時要擺出嚟
最好嘅。
Choy, sometimes we buy 5 pounds, 6 pounds for 1 week, right?
Wow.
Daddy take the bok choy. He peel each bok choy outside the 3 or 4 leaves, and then he leave the center.
一翻嚟咧就搣咗啲腦出嚟食咗先。
He will peel the 1, 2, 3, and then cook today.
Oh, cook the outer layer first.
Yeah.
一翻嚟就除咗咧搣咗嗰啲腦出嚟食咗先。
啊
Yeah.
Cook the outer layer first
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
all the bok choy.
Yeah.
Then you have a 10-piece
Yeah.
bok choy.
Yeah.
You peel all the outer layer first, and then save the middle, wrap with the paper.
Wow.
Put the hole in the back, and then will last longer.
This is so smart.
Yeah. But the outer layer is good for soup.
Outer layer is good for soup.
Yeah.
煲湯，滾湯好食。
Because the fiber is more,
一翻嚟我哋滾湯。
more like a more
It's tough.
more tougher
Yeah.
than the middle one.
Yeah, okay. Because this one, it's going to get so soft, it's nice in the soup.
Yeah.
Whereas the center one are smaller pieces, easier for stir
The
fry.
center one is good for stir fry. The the outer
Just a little
layer is good for soup.
No pork. Okay, very good.
And now, back to the recipe.
肉就切咗啦，我先至出嚟啲菜先嚇。有啲朋友問我，佢話點樣洗邊堆菜洗乾淨冇沙？嗱，我而家都話俾大家聽啦。嗱，洗菜嘅時候咧，將啲葉一塊塊咁搣開佢，搣開佢喺度，俾個盤喺度。嗱，呢個唔要啦，呢個就唔要啦。我哋將啲菜搣落嚟之後咧，呢個咧通常有好多沙喺度嘅，喺水度浸住佢。洗乾淨，咁樣洗乾淨啊，捽乾淨佢。如果你有時間嘅話，最好就將啲菜蘸下佢，蘸佢20分鐘或者15分鐘咁上下啦，蘸下佢再洗啊。好啦，我哋洗完一個咧，我哋再去沖一沖佢。嗱，睇住，我哋開個水沖佢。嗱，將啲葉咧咁搓佢，唔好俾佢黐住啲沙喺度。要沖佢。有睇到嘛？嗱，好乾淨咯，係嘛？睇乾淨啦。我哋而家咧，嗱，將啲菜大條嘅，咁咪削開佢咯。嗱，咁整開佢乾淨，嗱，整開佢，切開佢咪好容易食啲啊嘛。好似呢啲咁大條啦，咪切開佢咯。嗱，咁切開佢，或者你成條咁樣又得，好似咁樣，啲細條嘅你唔想話我成條喎，咁咪成條咯。嗱，咁樣又得，唔得啦。好啦，菜就切好啦。係嘛？睇到啊？菜好乾淨，睇到啊？好啦，我哋就開始係煲啲菜啦啊！我哋今日咧就用係5級水咁上下嘅啦，呢個冇乜所謂㗎。如果你想整多啲就都冇乜所謂。我而家係俾啲熱水落去啦，加啲熱水上去啊，將佢快啲啊！我咧仲俾半罐嘅雞湯上去，1罐雞湯。
This can contains about 14 ounces of chicken broth. Also, our stove is set to high heat.
好，我等陣間煲滾啲水先就俾落去嚇。等陣間煲嘅時候咧，再俾幾片薑落去，得啲味好味啲啊！俾3、4片得噶啦。嗱，隨你可以有俾可以唔俾呢個有啊，你中意嘅俾3、4片薑就得噶啦。咁啲湯好啲味，有啲薑味好飲啲。 我哋落菜之前咧，一個茶匙嘅油上去，鹽都係攞個茶匙嘅鹽上去。啲油同鹽咧，佢可以 keep 住啲菜，等佢綠色啲嚇。到落菜之前咧，我哋分開落，首先攞啲梗先，用啲菜梗落去先，因為啲梗咧就比較難熟啲噶嘛。菜梗咧就煲耐啲嘅要嚇。
你加啲滾，咁加第啲嘢要等幾耐啊？
跟住落去拍唔拍啦？即係等佢落鮮啲嘅時候，啲水嘅溫度高啲啊嘛，係咪？收尾落咧，嗰啲落啲碎葉嘅時候咧，佢啲水溫係已經降低咗啦嘛，啊！
加啲白菜係咪要等滾水先加？
啲菜係要滾水先落，擺落去，知道嘛？滾水擺落去呢啲菜咧，佢啲顏色會靚啲嘅。如果你啲水唔滾擺落去咧，煲熟嘅時候啲菜咪黃出咯，啊！如果煲得耐啲，擺喺個水度耐，啲葉綠素咧就已經係散晒去啦，啊！冇咁好咯，啊！
We'll cover the pot and wait for it to return to a gentle boil before adding the pork slices. This depends on your setup, but it took us about 3 to 5 minutes. I also wanted to make a special shout out to thank all of our wonderful Patreon supporters for helping bring this video to life. If you enjoy our videos and are interested in supporting us directly, head on over to patreon.com/madewithlau to learn more.
水滾啦 ，OK， 啊，滾咋，菜湯就滾啦。而家咧就俾埋啲豬肉落去啦，一定喺豬肉咧等啲菜煲熟咗之後，先至再俾啲肉上去嚇。嗱，我哋而家咧就將啲肉擺上去 ，OK， 好靚。咧，而家做咩咧？雞粉嗱，你可以落，可以唔落。你想佢味鮮啲就可以落雞粉落去，但係你可以唔落啊。我係俾一個茶匙嘅雞粉落嘅啫。
After adding the pork chops, once the pot returns to a boil, the soup is ready to eat. This should take about 1 to 2 minutes.
好啦，菜湯就整好啦。OK， 白菜湯嚟啊，靚嘢。OK， 個菜好靚啊，好綠色啊，係咪？ OK， 啲肉片好靚喎，啲肉片好靚喎。呢個肉片白菜湯煮好啦。
Next up, we'll be making
雲吞麵。
wonton noodle soup, one of my all-time favorites.
大家好，朋友們，我同大家介紹呢個咧就係雲吞麵。雲吞麵就用蛋麵做嘅咧，你可以睇到呢個麵，呢包麵咧係15個盎司咁上下咧。一般睇你幾多人食咯。如果你係人多食嘅，咪整多啲，一個人一個麵就整得足夠呢個就5盎司嘅麵啦，整好大碟噶啦嚇。咁而家咧我哋有成家人食噶啦，咁我哋整多啲麵啦，一個15盎司嘅麵嚇。
Wonton noodle soup is one of my all-time favorites, and it was actually one of the recipes I really wanted to share when we started this channel, because my parents made this basically every other day for me as a kid. Like many of you, this dish brings up a ton of nostalgia for me. In Cantonese, wontons are pronounced wonton, which roughly translates to swallowing a cloud. They're a staple of Cantonese cuisine, and in places like Guangzhou and Hong Kong, it's almost impossible to not run into a restaurant or food stall that sells a cheap, heartwarming bowl of wonton noodle soup.
通常咧，我哋屋企做咧，梗係落啲菜嘅。我哋用白菜，就咁樣切開一邊咁就得噶啦。唔好似炒菜咁啊，唔好切碎喎。我呢度係12個盎司咁啦，冇乜所謂噶。你中意食多啲條菜嘅，咪俾多啲條菜咯。餐館食嘅雲吞麵咧，佢又係俾最多係2、3條菜咁上下啦。通常屋企食嘅咧，就俾多啲菜落去一齊。啲湯有啲加上啲菜湯落嘅，啲味道唔同噶，啲湯靚好多噶。同埋咧，俾條葱落去啦，切啲葱花上去。好，大體上就係切咁多嘢啦，冇乜嘢切噶啦。我哋今日為咗個視頻靚啲，個影片真係靚啲，我俾啲蝦落去，啲雲吞麵鋪喺面上，食得好食啲，係嘛？
It's optional, but recommended to use about 7 to 8 shrimp here. They're not only tasty, but also give the soup broth a nicer flavor.
煮麵咧有一定啲水滾，最好多啲水啲麵咧就快脆啲熟。咁先至整散啲麵佢，啊，
你唔想黐埋啊？
散開佢就容易煮啲嘛，係嘛？ 好啦，我而家呢度係3個麵，係15安士嘅麵就分咗2次，一次又唔多得滯，我分咗2次嚟淥。
Set the stove to high heat and let the noodles cook in the boiling water for about 60 seconds.
擺落去唔使幾時間長嘅啫。嗱，你而家留起佢。俾個凍水過一過佢，咁就叫做過冷河啦。
Is there tips to make the noodles more bouncy and chewy?
少水咧and 多水咧個 difference 係因為少水 take a more time to cook, so the water is get more absorbed inside the noodle， 咁啊變咗 too soft 咯，係咪？咁咪係 less bounce 咯。
過完冷河咧，再搬翻嚟呢度，俾啲滾水淥翻佢，咁樣淥嗰啲麵咧就爽啲。
After quickly dunking them in cold water, we'll place the noodles in the pot again for about 15 to 20 seconds.
第2次又唔使再擺落呢度噶啦，呢次得噶啦，先裝住佢。呢度好爽嘅啲麵啊！喺餐館做嗰啲咧，佢係用豬油撈嗰啲麵，但係我就唔用牛油，我就用呢啲橄欖油得噶啦。咁啲麵咧佢就會滑靚好多啦。
Making wonton noodles from scratch is an art form that generations of people have devoted their whole lives to. It's a dying tradition, but one of the original methods involves smashing the noodle dough by bouncing your body on a bamboo lever, which creates a more springy and chewy bite than you'd get from a machine. For most of us, it's a lot easier to just buy fresh wonton noodles, which most Asian grocery stores carry. If you don't live near an Asian grocery store, I've included a few links to buy dried wonton noodles online, and my parents share how to adjust the cooking method for dried noodles.
可唔可以用乾麵嚟整雲吞麵喎？
得，呢樣得啊！
方法係咩樣？
呢樣我上次咪就整過啲豉油紅炒麵嗰個時候咪講過。一樣係咁嘅煮法啫嘛，你嗰啲麵就咁發開佢，俾啲過冷河佢，煮開咗之後咧，俾啲凍水倒似我頭先咁，你擺落去佢一陣間佢就會慢慢散開。
煮乾麵唔可以大火，
一定要水滾。
moderate temperature。因為啲麵咧唔似係啲 fresh noodle 咁啊，已經係 wet 嘅。乾麵咧係 need more time to let the water infiltrate inside the noodle。
乾嘅麵你煮嘅時間長啲咯。
我諗起碼長多1半嘅時間啊。
滾咗之後佢先去整得佢散啊嘛，整散之後咧你再煮翻軟佢啊嘛。因為我哋喺以前西拿都係食乾麵，都好少話呢啲濕麵買食啊嘛。
When we use 乾麵 we make noodle soup and we make 撈麵，唔係好多字炒麵，多數都係撈麵嗬。
好，再落埋呢一半啦。嗱，我哋人多食啊嘛，係嘛？如果你人少就唔使咁多啦，呢度2個人就足夠噶啦，係咪？啲水一滾得噶啦。好，俾凍水浸佢，咁就叫做過冷河啦。過冷河嘅意思咧，就等啲麵咧爽啲。嗱，而家再俾啲滾水再浸過佢，咁就得噶啦，得噶啦。我俾少少嗰啲係橄欖油嚟嘅嚇，嗰啲雲吞麵咧就好滑㗎啦，好食㗎啦嚇，撈佢。
俾幾多橄欖油啊？
一個茶匙啊，或者都得㗎啦，唔緊要啦。OK， 麵就整好啦，而家啦整湯啦，4杯啲嗰啲水啦，就1罐湯啦。嗱，呢個係雞湯嚟嘅，冚住佢，滾水先落菜。而家水就滾啦，我哋落啲油落去，落啲油落去咧，再落菜，啲菜就唔會黃色噶啦，就綠色好多噶啦嚇。一個湯匙咁上下啦。
咩油啊？
橄欖油嚟嘅，呢個茶匙嘅鹽。你落咗鹽，啲鹽係咁，落鹽就係咁嘅。滾水啦係嘛？滾水而家落啲菜落噶啦。
Stefan from Patreon asks, what additional dressings can you add to the wonton noodle soup? Spices, oils?
椒醬同埋醋咯。啲麵咧有啲鹼性嘅嘢喺度，鹼同酸可以中和咗，容易消化。咁佢。
With our stove still set on high heat, we'll let the bok choy cook for about 1 to 2 minutes until the pot returns to a boil.
跟住佢滾啊，轉開佢睇下。咦，啲菜幾靚係嘛？啲菜幾靚係嘛？呢個係魚露嚟㗎嚇，即係呢個落咗魚露落去咧，嗰啲湯咧會鮮味好多嘅嚇。一個湯匙一個湯匙，試試嘅味道先。你試試，你嚟試試。 明唔明啊？因為佢有雞湯啊嘛，因為有雞湯，咁咪有魚露，咁啲味咪好靚咯。啲少少麻油上去嚇，麻油咧就一個茶匙就夠，少少夠啦。湯係香啲啊，胡椒粉咧就少少就夠啦。好啦，而家就我再加啲唔知滾水落去，半杯滾水。
Many people wanted to know. Dominic and 3 people I can't say except for Enrica want to know the secret to restaurant like broth.
你真真正正個雲吞湯咧，就有好多嘢俾嘅，嗰啲大地魚啊，嗰啲味道落嘅，自己調淨係俾啲白菜，一定係俾啲白菜，你俾啲罐雞湯落去，魚露嗰啲
Somebody
味。
said anchovies. Do you use anchovies ever? There's a lot
Yeah,
of
you can.
anchovy.
You can. But we don't.
餐館用通常用啲好多骨嚟整啲湯啊嘛，你通常係雞骨多。
Traditional food, right? Like when you go to Vietnamese restaurant, like a
Pho.
Vietnamese fun. Wow, that's so traditional, just like a Chinese. A lot of good stuff.
Yeah.
Cow bone, pork bone, fish, chicken, and seafood.
Yeah.
That is real nutrition. We don't have time to do that kind of soup.
這樣再加啲麵落嚟啦，而家唔夠麵再喺呢度攞嚟加落去食得啦嚇。好啦，而家咧就將啲菜擺上嚟先嚇，擺上嚟，啲蝦俾埋落去，蝦快最熟嘅啫，一陣間熟噶啦。將啲菜擺上嚟。
The shrimp only need about a minute to cook, and you can tell they're ready when they turn orange.
嗱，我啲蝦上嚟先。呢個就雲吞麵啦，我俾埋啲雲吞上去啊！如果你想話點樣整雲吞喎，咁我哋仲有一個視頻整咗雲吞嘅嚇啊！我哋而家啲麵雲吞已經整熟咗，加翻落去整翻熱佢嚇。
These wontons are already cooked, but if you're starting with raw wontons, you'll boil them for about 3 to 5 minutes until they start floating. We have some additional pro tips for cooking in our wonton video, so be sure to check the video out if you haven't seen it already.
好咯，搞掂晒咯。嗱，雲吞同麵就整好啦。而家咧加埋啲雲吞湯上去嚇。俾埋啲葱花上嚟，我哋嘅雲吞麵就已經整好咗啦。紅隊食嘢。
Wow, look at
Oh
those.
yeah.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. That's a good one.
Yes.
That's a good one.
Yay.
My father's son.
Cheers.
Cheers.